You have a good academic. First of all, you have a very impressive academic CV. You have your master's degree of the London School of Economics, which is one of the leading ones, and of the College of Europe, which again, I think for the purpose of European Union matters, is also a leading postmaster institute. And I informed all students that they should look at the application procedure this year from Turkey for the College of Europe. So people should be aware that you can make a very interesting career after having spent a year in the College of Europe in Bruges or Natolin, that's the Polish branch. You also have a very active diplomatic life in different positions. In Tripoli, you have served for NATO in Kabul. I think that would serve or would have its own, let's say, longer explanation what happened in Kabul. I think you will have a special insight, but that's not our topic now. So very active role in diplomacy. You have been the representative of Turkey, the ambassador, if you might call that, of Turkey in Brussels for the European Union. And you are now the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs. So we are very happy to have you again. And we are listening now to your arguments, your presentations. And of course, we are ready for a couple of interesting questions. Okay, please go ahead. Demote yourself. Demote.
Thank you very much, Professor Wessels, Professor Erdoğan, dear academicians and colleagues, and dear friends, dear students. I also see Professor Erol. So I think in order to summarize my CV, I am a student of Wolfgang Wessels. The rest, it doesn't matter. So I am happy that you invited me to your panel, and maybe I will give you a small introduction for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Maybe it is better to have question and answers. I think it would be more useful because I don't want to tell you things that you are not interested in. Okay, the title of this this panel is Turkey-EU relations. Basically, what I want to say is that of course, our relations with the EU are based on the strategic goal of full membership for us. It is not like relations between the two partners, but it is a relationship and the club. Conditions, image so that Turkey can become a member of. Today, when we look at our relation, Turkey's membership question, will be decided by and it's Turkey specific. I always say poor and tell you directly, but this is I think these three characteristics are important and are unique to Turkey. No other candidate country can have the same specificities. Turkey is too big in terms of population, but also in terms of the size of the country. Turkey is too poor. Of course, we don't mean GDP, and Turkey is not that poor, but the weight of agriculture and the regional, economic disparities are quite big. And this means that when and if Turkey joins the EU, this will, mean roughly 15-16 billion euros of grants to be given to Turkish farmers and to Turkey's, desperate regions. So this is not easy to manage in terms of EU's budget. And of course, Turkey predominantly is a Muslim populated country, but let's not forget that Turkey is a secular state. I think there's three elements Turkey's bigness and Turkey's economic structure, which is not in line completely with the EU economic structure. If we take, again, as I mentioned, the size of Turkish agriculture and the employment in agriculture, and also the regional economic disparities. So it is a little bit complicated before the accession. The third dimension, the issue of religion. Of course, the Turks will not change their religion because we want to join the EU, or we have no intention of changing anyone else's religion in the EU. So we believe that the EU that we want to be part is a union of values. So every belief should be respected, and we hope that we will reach this common understanding altogether. There are two other, issues which will shape Turkey's EU membership. One is Copenhagen, criteria. This is valid for everyone. Sometimes in Turkey, people think that this is some sort of, EU insistence only against Turkey. No, Copenhagen criteria concern also member states. Today, for example, Poland, Hungary have been, heavily criticized by the EU because of some of their policies regarding their justice system, regarding their parliamentary system. So it is not only about Turkey, but it's about all candidate countries as well as member states. So we should bring Turkey to a level where there should be no question whether Turkey fulfill Copenhagen criteria. So this is important. The fifth dimension, I think, in any country's membership is good neighborly relations. Of course, especially candidate countries must have good relations with those countries which are already members of the EU. I mean, in the Turkish case, we are talking about Greece, and we are talking about Greek Cypriots, and also to some extent Austria. So in these three countries especially, there is an outspoken resistance against Turkey's membership, or at least in the case of Austria, okay, this is maybe a reluctance, but in the case of Greece and Greek Cypriots, they want to abuse their EU veto right, and they also want to abuse their EU membership solidarity as being members of the EU against candidate Turkey to get, to realize some sort of maximalist and irrationalist demands, which might be related to Aegean Sea, which might be related to the island of Cyprus. So these five factors will shape Turkey's EU membership. I am sure in the first three, we can, see these three elements not as liabilities, but as assets, because Turkey's bigness can be also an asset for the EU, especially if the EU wants to be a geopolitical, geostrategical actor in the world. So it is important. Again, predominantly a Muslim population, but secular state in Turkey is also, I think, it can also be an asset for the EU, in terms of outreaching the Muslim world, in terms of outreaching the Middle East. So I think this is important, but also it is important for the image of the EU. Of course, agriculture and regional disparities, we have to do our homework. We have to, adjust more to the EU level in terms of, common agricultural policy and the cohesion policy. Again, you can say, Faruk Bey, all these five factors, they are quite complicated and difficult. It is true, but for us, it is important because EU accession process is really important for Turkey. If we look at today, especially the 10, so-called Eastern European countries, if they had not been a member of the EU, I think today they would not have been in this position. They have increased their democratic level. They have increased their economic performance. They became, much more, I would say, reformist, and they are closer to the Council of Europe standards. They are, you know, they have some sort of EU level. Of course, not all are at the same level, but EU accession process and membership help them a lot to reach this level. And this is why it is also important for Turkey to follow the accession process. And so I always say the accession process is as, you know, useful and meaningful as membership itself. Because thanks to this accession process, you can just look at what we did. You know, after 1999, when Turkey was officially declared a candidate country, we made a lot of reforms, especially, you know, after 2002, you know, until 2006. I claim that this is the most successful period of the Republic of Turkey after Atatürk reforms. Because thanks to these reforms that, you know, Turkey was portrayed as a country making some sort of silent revolution to join the EU. So it was the EU accession perspective which, you know, drew Turkey to make these painful and difficult reforms. Today, of course, you know, unfortunately, Turkey's accession perspective has been damaged, and this had also negative, you know, implications for the reforms in Turkey. So if we had had a better accession perspective, today I think we would be talking about, you know, comprehensive reforms in all fields in Turkey, in the candidate country Turkey. So it is important that we have this, you know, perspective. So where are we in terms of our relations? Very briefly. So in terms of accession negotiations, we have opened 16 chapters and closed one, but unfortunately our accession negotiations politically blocked and have been brought to what the EU calls a standstill level. So we are at a standstill in terms of our accession, our membership negotiations. High-level dialogue meetings that we used to have, we have some established mechanisms such as association council, such as political directors meeting, high-level dialogue meetings, and Turkey-EU summits. Unfortunately, all these dialogue meetings were also blocked because of the Eastern Mediterranean crisis, because Greece and Greek Cypriots insisted that there should be no dialogue between Turkey and the EU. So these high-level dialogue meetings have been suspended, but EU, to follow a positive agenda, started 3 new high-level dialogue meetings on climate change, on health, and on migration and security. But the established mechanisms are still blocked, and we hope that this can be revitalized. Customs Union update is an important issue in our relations, because we have a customs union with the EU since 1996, with some trade irritants, you know, unfortunately, mutually imposed by both sides. But the current customs union is quite limited. So we want to expand it to agriculture, to services, maybe public procurement, energy, depending on the negotiations. And actually, this is not a one-side request. This request comes actually from all sides. If you look at, you know, the exports of Turkey to the EU, half of them are produced by EU companies in Turkey. So Turkish economy and European economy are completely interlinked, and the update of the customs union is a win-win situation, both for Turkey and the EU. Counterterrorism is another area of cooperation between Turkey and the EU, but unfortunately, EU is quite selective. EU focuses only on Daesh and Al-Qaeda, but when it comes to fight against other terrorist organizations, EU is not always behind us. Of course, PKK is on the list of on the EU list of terrorist organizations, but only having it on the list is not sufficient. We need to fight together. We need to take joint actions as we do against Daesh and Al-Qaeda together. Also, other terrorist organizations such as FETÖ, we need closer cooperation. So we hope that, again, with revitalized counterterrorism dialogue, we can improve our cooperation. Visa liberalization process is important. Turkey has to fulfill 72 benchmarks. We have fulfilled 66 benchmarks so far. We are working on the last 6 benchmarks, but because of the pandemic, and especially because of the security focus policies after 15th of July 2016, EU's approach towards visa-free travel for Turkish citizens into Schengen zone has not been so warm, I would say. And also because of the pandemic, all the travel restrictions are in place. And we hope that when Turkey fulfills the last 6 benchmarks, we can be able to have visa-free travel into Schengen zone. Another dimension in Turkey-EU relations is cooperation in terms of irregular migration. As you know, Turkey hosts today 4.2 million, foreigners, and 3.7 million of them are Syrians. And we had some sort of deal with the EU in 2016, but the EU has not completely fulfilled its promises in terms of the migration deal. Turkey kept its 2 promises: prevention and taking back those people who might have still gone to the Greek islands illegally. So we kept our promises at least until February 2020. But 4 promises given by the EU are not kept fully. So one-to-one deal, for one person that we would receive from the Greek islands, EU would take 1 Syrian. Yes, this promise has been kept by the EU entirely, actually 10 times more than expected. But the number is too small. We are talking about 2,300 people returned from the Greek islands since 2016, and the EU has taken around 31,000. But 31,000 is not much when you take 3.7 million Syrians in Turkey. Second question is 3 + 3, 6 billion euros mobilized by 2018. We are at the end of 21, only 4.2 billion of the 6 billion euros have reached the Syrians. So for us, mobilizing fund by 2018 means that you spend this money by the end of 2018, but EU is quite slow in terms of flow of funds. And of course, this funding is not sufficient because the number of Syrians and the number of other people in Turkey is increasing, especially now with more Afghans. So this promise has been kept only partially by the EU. Third promise was voluntary humanitarian admission scheme. So the EU member states would take voluntarily people from Turkey, but this program, after 2 years of negotiation with the Commission, has been rejected by some member states and never came into practice. Then, another major promise by the EU was to cooperate with Turkey in northern Syria. But instead of cooperating with Turkey, some of the EU member states has punished Turkey because of 3 operations that we had to conduct in northern Syria, imposing, for example, some sanctions on some military equipments. But of course, we know that thanks to these 3 operations in northern Syria, we have enabled 470,000 Syrians to go back to their villages and to their towns, to their homes. I mean, the result of the intervention is there. Again, thanks to these operations, we have not let a terror corridor to emerge on our border. And thanks to these operations, probably we have prevented more than 2 million Syrians who are already displaced within Syria and who were heading towards Turkey. But Turkey's presence in northern Syria and around Idlib are at least keeping, stability there. Otherwise, there would be more pressure on the Turkish borders and on the rest of Europe. So these are, 6 main areas which are also included in the 18 March statement of 2016. So we have to fulfill all of these, commitments that we made. But there are 2 other areas that I want to mention in Turkey-EU relations. One is financial cooperation and EU programs. As a candidate country, Turkey enjoys instrument for pre-accession funds, IPA funds. So we are using these IPA funds to prepare Turkey for membership, in all sectors, from transport to education, from climate action to, protection of consumers, if you like, and NGOs. And also let me tell you that we are also using some of the IPA funds to finance Turkey's, contribution to EU programs such as Horizon Europe, Erasmus Plus, and European Solidarity Corps. So this, through this financing, I think our students, our academicians, and also our young people enjoy some EU exchange programs. In terms of IPA funds, unfortunately, because of, again, Turkey-EU relations, because of the tension that we see in Turkey-EU relations, IPA funds have been reduced to Turkey. And unfortunately, there is a misunderstanding in some circles in the EU. They think that, okay, we are giving 6 billion euros to Turkey, and then we are giving IPA funds as well. So it's too much money. 6 billion euros for refugees and 4.4 billion euros for 7 years, by the way, under IPA to Turkey. But IPA funds is only for Turkey. 6 billion euros, not for Turkey. This is for the Syrians. So there should not be this wrong amalgamation, in the understanding of some circles in the EU. Anyway, so this area of cooperation is working despite, some reductions at the level of IPA funds. The other area is, is related to defense and security. Although Turkey is not a member of the EU yet, we have been contributing to several common security and defense policy, operations conducted by the EU. So far, Turkey has contributed around, 15 CSDP missions, and actually, right now in Bosnia-Herzegovina, we are probably one of the biggest contributors to the operation, despite the fact that Turkey is not a member of the EU. So actually, if we look at these, 15 operations of the past, we will see that Turkey's contributions in terms of, troops, in terms of military support, in terms of police officers, you will see that this contribution is much bigger than some of the member states. Of course, today, EU is trying to create new defense and security infrastructure, such as PESCO, such as European Development Fund. But unfortunately, there again, we have difficulties. Already, Turkey's membership of European Defense Agency and also Turkey's signing of a security agreement with the EU are blocked by Greece and Greek Cypriots. Today, again, Turkey's participation into PESCO or into military mobility of PESCO is again prevented by Greek and Greek Cypriots. So we have this situation. On the one hand, we have the second biggest force of NATO, that is Turkey, and NATO and EU would like to cooperate more, but at the same time, Turkey's contribution to the EU system is blocked mostly by Greek and Greek Cypriots. So we have also this deadlock in our relations. So more or less in Turkey relations, we are here. The picture is not so, promising, but what I can tell you is that 79% of the Turkish nation, despite all the obstacles, despite ups and downs, they want to see Turkey as a member of the EU, and they support Turkey's EU accession process. And from the membership, mostly Turkish people are expecting a better democracy, a better rule of law, and better respect of human rights. So this is why I think it is important to keep up, with this process. And I think as the future or even today's leaders, you will take also your own role in your hands to advance these relations. Okay, I think I should stop here. I have been quite, radical, if I can say, in my judgments and assessments. So maybe you might have some comments, questions, criticism, and you are most welcome, of course. Please.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. Indeed, I think you have a very clear set of arguments. I think that's very good for us, because otherwise we cannot raise questions, or students cannot raise questions. So first of all, thank you. I think it's a very coherent line of arguments, and which is important for us to know and to see. And of course, we hope that always students are always raising critical questions. That's everywhere. If you have political science students, they raise questions to politicians and people from the political arena. We have a certain set of students who are willing to raise questions. Would you like to have individual one, or should we have 2 or 3 after another? What is your proposal, to answer directly or wait for 2 or 3 questions?
I think I can answer one by one, but for me, since I am late, you can punish me in the way that you want. So you can keep me as long as you want, and you can, ask any question. So I am at your service.
Okay, Onur, why don't you start?
First of all, thank you very much for your contribution. As you mentioned before, Turkey has a critical role in regulation of the migration flows to Europe, and the cooperation with non-European countries is being described as an integral part of the Frontex mandate to ensure implementation of the European integrated border management. So my question is how Turkey's cooperation with Frontex is shaped. Is there any development plan in terms of more integration and exchange? And overall, what is the status of the cooperation there? Thank you.
Okay. Onur Bey, I think it's a good question. The problem is, in the past, we wanted to work with Frontex closely, and Frontex was reluctant. Then Frontex wanted to cooperate with us. This time, we were reluctant, especially our Ministry of Interior. And I am, one of those who really strongly favor, Turkey's cooperation with Frontex. Lately, of course, we had a high-level dialogue meeting on migration and security. Of course, we also discussed a possible cooperation with Frontex. But again, our Ministry of Interior is now a little bit, angry with Frontex, because Frontex basically watched, and did nothing in terms of the pushbacks, which is happening in the last 4 years. Because, I remember 3 years ago, we have contacted Frontex, even sent a delegation to work closely with Frontex. And we were hoping that this would be materialized. But it didn't happen in the way that we wanted. Plus, in the last 3-4 years, we have requested several times Frontex not to allow pushbacks or to be part of these pushbacks at the agency. In the last 4 years, I can say that we collected around 90,000 people who were really pushed into the sea by the Greek, coast guards, or by, let's say, some forces that I cannot describe. So this is why I think today our relation, with Frontex needs to be improved. And I think at the end, it is important that, you know, we work together, because let's not forget that borders of Europe and borders of NATO starts at Turkey's south and southeastern borders. And this is why I think cooperation is important, also with Frontex. And one day, hopefully, when Turkey becomes a member of the EU, we might see Frontex at the Turkish borders with Iran, Iraq, and Syria.
Okay, thank you. Burak would be the next.
Thank you, Mr. Vesas, and thank you, Mr. Kaynakçı, for your contribution, for being with us today. I would like to raise a question about our membership process. Actually, you put emphasis on Turkish desire, our desire to become a full member. But on the other hand, from time to time, especially, we see some kind of offers like, which I can call strategic partnership from the EU members. And if I am not wrong, in the terms of Mr. Sarkozy's term, I mean, at least I personally hear that for the first time. So what do you think about this strategic partnership kind of deals? Can it work, or can it be at least negotiable for Turkey or not?
You know, when this question is asked, I usually compare this to, you know, human relations. You know, you hang around, you know, with a girl, but you don't want to get married. And you tell your girlfriend, okay, you know, let's have a long-term relation, but no marriage. I mean, if she accepts, no problem. But if she says, no, I want to have equal relation, and this equal relation can only be done in marriage, so I am committed to it. So it's like this. It's simple as, you know, this one. We have never seen an example of strategic, you know, partnership or privileged partnership or special relation between the EU and other candidate countries, because there are countries like Nordic countries, you know, some of them, they have this special relation, but it's up to them. For them, maybe it is convenient. But for Turkey, membership issue is a question of sovereignty. It is a question of interest, you know. I mean, our major interest and our sovereignty depend on the membership, because whether we like it or not, you know, EU is becoming more and more the decision maker of the European continent. If Turkey had been Iran or Mexico, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't insist on the marriage, and I wouldn't care that much about the EU. But today, your diplomas, your travel rights, your visa, you know, your accreditation system, your trade system, I mean, depends a lot on the EU. And if you are not in the decision-making mechanism, I don't think that you can defend your sovereignty and your interest to the level that you want to. You can say, what about the UK? Okay, it's the UK. But who can claim that UK is defending, you know, its own sovereignty and its own interest better outside the EU? I mean, in my view, no, it is less, it's not more. I think the UK is less sovereign today in terms of, you know, everything. I mean, trade relations, foreign policy, defense, security, even fisheries. So it's a question of, you know, sovereignty. It's a question of, again, interest. And what is the interest? The interest is to be in the decision-making mechanism. This is why we insist on the membership. Otherwise, this relation, you know, would be, you know, like today. Today, we have already some sort of special relation. You know, Turkey is the only country having a customs union with the EU. Turkey is the only country, seriously contributing to the CSDP missions, more than, many countries. So we have already special relations, and this relation is not a symmetric relation. This is an asymmetric relation, and most of the time it works against the interest of Turkey. So we need, a relation on equal footing, and this goes only through membership. And also, we can have cooperation, but this cooperation will bring only limited success in all fields. So only membership, full membership, I think can tap the full potential in Turkey-EU relations. Imagine that Turkey is a member of the EU. So what would be, for example, migration policy? Today, I think we would have dealt with migration completely in a different way, and I think we would be in a more comfortable situation. If Turkey had been a member of the EU, today, I think we would talk about a different security and defense, infrastructure for the EU and for NATO. If Turkey had been a member of the EU, maybe we could have prevented, the conflict in Syria and the war in Iraq, because that EU would have been a bigger EU with a geopolitic, I would say assertiveness. But today we don't see this, and this is why we have much to give to the EU, but also much to take from the EU. And I think a sound, genuine relation has to be democratic and accepted by both sides. And this is, this can only be achieved through membership.
Thank you. Nechva, you are next. Nesva.
And thank you for your speech, Mr. Kaymakçı. It was very informative. My question is, what do you think about future possible improvements between Turkey and EU? I mean, is there any positive sign on Turkey's EU membership, especially after Merkel?
I missed the beginning of your question. Can you repeat the beginning?
Yeah, please do that. Yeah.
What do you think about future possible improvements between Turkey and EU?
Okay.
And after Merkel?
After Merkel.
I think after Merkel, there is still life, no?
Yeah, necessarily, yeah.
Merkel, I think Merkel has been a great European leader. I think although she had serious doubts about the necessity of Turkish membership to the EU, but she followed, the agreement that we had, and she did not cause, any problem. But let's not forget, in 2017, just before the elections, Merkel and Martin Schulz were on a TV debate, and Martin Schulz was angry with Turkey, and he said, okay, if I become the next chancellor, I will suspend Turkey's accession negotiations. And Merkel said, hey, I am, against, more than you are. So if I become the next chancellor, I will terminate Turkey's, accession process with the EU. And actually, she was re-elected, and she came to the European Council. But 3 o'clock in the morning, I think it was 3rd of October, 2017, she said, okay, I promised, the German electorate that I would terminate accession negotiations with Turkey. But I tried this, and the EU Council did not, allow me to do this, because there is no, the other member states are not supporting this idea. So, but anyway, Merkel was a good leader. At least, she kept the deal ongoing, and I think it was important. But maybe we will see, a new leadership in Germany who might be, more favorable to Turkey's accession process, especially if the Social Democrats, take, the lead. We will see. normally Social Democrats and Greens in Germany, they are in favor of a European Turkey. And, but of course, depending on the reforms in Turkey, because Social Democrats and Greens, they are much more critical of the, the state of affairs in terms of democracy, rule of law in Turkey. But at the same time, they are not, that strict against Turkey's EU membership. I would even say that Social Democrats and Greens in the past, they defended Turkey's EU membership. So after Merkel, it depends, but I think much more depends on Turkey, because Turkey has to accelerate, its reform process. Turkey has to, have better image in the rest of Europe. In that case, I think things will be easier. But what can be done in the near future to improve the relations? So that this is what we are proposing. First, I think it is better to have all these high-level dialogue meetings, because if we don't talk to each other, we will talk against each other. So if we don't have, let's say, consultations, high-level dialogue meetings on foreign policy issues, on counterterrorism, then I think we will not achieve that much. Neither, neither Turkey nor the EU. So it is better that we have these high-level dialogue meetings and engagements again. The second thing which can easily be done is the update of the customs union. The negotiations should start immediately. This is the start of the negotiations. We don't still have the negotiated, updated customs union agreement yet. We are just starting the negotiations to update the customs union. I think this would create a positive, spirit in the relations, and also it might engage all the sides so that we speak the same language. But again, there we need, the EU to watch its own member states. If Greek Cypriots and if Greece provokes Turkey in the Aegean Sea, like they did, 2 years ago, and like they seem to be doing the same thing in the coming weeks, then we might have, conflictual relations. If the Greek Cypriots, for example, restart drilling activities around the island of Cyprus, then of course Turkey will respond. Then we are back to 2 years ago, where we were talking about, the language of threats and sanctions and provocations, and it's not useful. So the EU should encourage its own member states not to abuse their veto right, not to abuse EU solidarity behind them against a candidate country. So I think we will see in the coming weeks whether these provocations can be prevented. And I think if these provocations are prevented, I am sure, step by step, we can build up, we can build up on different dimensions of Turkey-EU relations. Already, Turkey is enjoying EU programs. And of course, some of the dialogues, as I have mentioned, started. But of course, the key here is the accession negotiations. As long as Turkey is not fairly treated as a candidate country, I don't think that we can get, strong commitment, from either of the sides. But of course, in order to open and close chapters, Turkey also has, needs to accelerate its political reforms.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Ahmed would be the next to raise a question.
Thank you very much, Levinkas. I am Ahmet Çörekçioğlu, working for Turkey's National Agency in Ankara. I would like to ask about membership, similar to Burak's question. In 2 years ago, your communication strategic documents, there's an expression I directly quoted right now, that Turkey's EU membership will be the most difficult to achieve. It's expressed politely that Turkey will not be member in the near future, and it's not feasible. I would like to ask what is your motivation in such an ambiguous aim, as a EU directorate, what does motivate you to act and works for improvement of between EU and Turkey relations if there will be no full membership between EU and Turkey?
Mm-hmm. Ahmet Bey, you know, as we wrote, I mean, in that text, Turkey's EU membership is the most difficult one, the most, you know, challenged, most questioned one. And I explained the reasons, because no other candidate country has, you know, these three specific, you know, I mean, characteristics. But at the same time, Turkish membership to the EU would be the most useful, most meaningful accession. I am not undermining, you know, any country's membership, but what is the, you know, what is the contribution of, for example, membership of Czechia to the EU? What happened after Czech membership? What happened after the Slovak or Polish membership? Did it really make a difference in the life of the EU that much? No. This is why I think Turkey's accession process is so painful, because no other candidate country can contribute more than Turkey to the EU. Be it energy security, be it defense, be it foreign policy, economy, trade, climate, whatever, you name it. So this is why it is so painful. What motivates me? Because I believe in Europe, I believe in Turkey, and I believe that a stable, strong, fair Europe, fair EU, I mean, is possible only with Turkey. Because otherwise, the Europe will be missing important links. And without Turkey, I think the EU will never ever be completed. Without Turkish membership, you know, the real Europe of values, Europe of respects will not be materialized. But this doesn't mean that Turkish membership should be taken, you know, granted. Of course, membership requires, you know, meeting the conditions, and Turkey has to fulfill the membership conditions. What motivates me is also the request of the Turkish nation. As I mentioned, you know, 79% of the Turkish public is in favor of EU membership. You know, they are quite happy to see the Turkish team, Turkish football team, you know, in European qualifiers. You know, they never see themselves in the Middle East qualifiers or in Asian qualifiers. They know that they are in Europe, and they know that their interest, their sovereignty depends very much on the EU. So, as I explained, you can better defend your rights and your sovereignty by being within the system, not, you know, outside the system.
Thank you. I have now Rabia as the last one of our students, and then Murat, I would turn to you. Perhaps you could also come. Rabia, you are next.
Professor Wessel, I think she's not with us.
She's not with us.
Yeah.
Okay. We send her our greetings then, and I turn to Murat direct.
Can I ask a question instead of?
Yeah, okay, come in.
Just after, I also have a question, if it is possible.
Okay, so we have a list of who else wants to come in, so that we have a list of questionnaire and make a fair day. Barish, Maya, who else? Is there anybody else who would like to come in at the moment? Okay.
I would like to ask a personal question at the end.
Ege, isn't it? Yeah. Ege, why don't you start now? Then I go to Barish and Maya, and then I go to Murat Erdogan. Okay, Ege, come in. Directly.
But my question was more personal about the College of Europe, so maybe we can ask it at the end after talking about politics.
You can ask, no problem, even now.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask, what would you suggest for the potential candidates or potential students of the College of Europe, how to train themselves, and any other suggestions maybe?
if I understood your question correctly, you want to go to the College of Europe?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, of course, first, you should be speaking good English and French. And this is a must, you know. And then, of course, you should have a fair knowledge of EU, you know, the EU decision-making mechanism, EU institutions. And I think if you do that, we have every year 10 to 15 scholarships, mostly given by the Turkish private companies, but also by the college. So this year, again, you can apply until, I think, mid-January. And after that, you know, if your marks are good, you know, if your file is good, if you are on the short list, we will see you on the interview.
Which is both a promise as a threat, I guess.
Do you speak French?
Yeah, I studied in French in Strasbourg.
Okay, so if you speak French, and what about your mark? I mean, which level do you have?
It's quite complicated because I got my bachelor in French, and now I'm taking diploma equivalent classes. So
out of 20, what is your score?
It's 11.
Oh, then you have to convince Professor Wessels.
Yeah.
Because normally College of Europe rejects students, you know, if they are below 15. Automatically they reject.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a little bit to look more closer than in other meetings. And I think it was very helpful because I hope that you are not the only one who is considering to apply. Because yes. I hope that others will also do so. So I have Barish and then Maya. Barish, you would come in.
Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Kaymakçı. In view of the EU accession, democracy is an important issue in the EU. And I would like to ask you, how do you rate Turkey's level of democracy?
Oh, Barish, this is a tough question. I am a civil servant. Of course, Turkish democracy is good, but it can always be much better. And, you know, one of the criticism, you know, one of the serious criticism of the EU is about, you know, Copenhagen political criteria. And of course, Turkey, you know, has to accelerate the reforms. And, you know, depending on the reforms, maybe, you know, we will start again opening and closing, you know, the chapters. But of course, you know, more reforms are needed in this direction. So one of the reasons why, you know, Turkey-EU relations are at this level, it's because, you know, after 15th of July 2016 coup attempt, Turkey had to follow, you know, a security-focused policies. You know, we used to see a liberal Turkey in the past, reformist Turkey in the past, but after 2016, we had to, you know, fight three notorious terrorist organizations at the same time, such as PKK, FETÖ, and Daesh. So it, you know, changed the balance in Turkey. But I am sure, you know, with accelerated political reforms, you know, Turkish democracy will be, you know, stronger, even stronger. And then we can, you know, start again opening and closing all chapters, which are also politically blocked.
Okay, Maya, you are next.
Teşekkürler Faruk Bey. Since you are one of the students of Professor Wessels, I think you know that we always talk about legal words and real world. And you always, you talk about full membership. I want to understand what's your approach, not as civil servant, but as political sciences. What is full membership? And I mean, for example, Bulgaria and Romania are not part of Schengen area. And you talk about United Kingdom and Norway. I wonder what it would be like for Turkey in not near future, but I mean, in the future generally. And the other question is about College of Europe. Actually, College of Europe plays an important role in terms of EU politics, and Turkish-German university or school is also founded by, I mean, by a special agreement between Turkey and Germany. And do you think that Turkish-German university in the future will play an important role?
I think Turkish-German university will play a vital role because in terms of Turkey-EU relations, because I think we need, you know, more Turkish citizens better understanding Germany, which is, you know, which is the engine of the European integration. So it is important that we have, you know, much better relations, we have stronger exchanges, and we understand each other much better, and we help each other much better. So it is, I think your university will play a key role. I hope, you know, we have the same level of, you know, interaction with Galatasaray University, where we can have, again, you know, this sort of programs where we can also invest in Turkish-French relations. So I think this is probably one of the best investments in terms of Turkish-German relations. So your university is I think is vital and is important. I hope you all speak German as well, no? Some of you at least. But please learn German as well. This is important. So yes, College of Europe is an important school, but first, you know, it has the best professors like Professor Wessels. It has also I think probably the you know, the most hardworking students selected to the college, because, you know, they really choose, you know, hardworking students. This also, I think, enables students to have more and more intellectual discussion among themselves. But what is more important at the College of Europe is the network, because you spend like 10 months, you become so close. You don't know why, but, you know, I still have so close friends from the College of Europe. For example, I also studied at, you know, at the London School of Economics in London, but you know, I know maybe 2 or 3 friends. It's not like the College of Europe. So the College of Europe, I think, gives you some sort of virus, you know, which keeps your friendship alive, but also, you know, you become a part of a big network. And if you look at the graduates of the College of Europe, mostly, you know, they are working at the EU institutions in Brussels, or, you know, in Luxembourg, in Strasbourg, or in their own countries, EU-related work, some lobbying, you know, some in private sector. And this is a very important network. So this is why I do everything to increase the number of students at the College of Europe. So in my time, it was only 2 students, but now happily we have 10, 15 students every year, not only in Bruges, but also in Natolin. So this is an important school. The EU I mean, what does it mean, membership? I mean, membership means...
Sorry, full membership.
Yes. Membership, of course, when we say membership, we mean full membership, of course. There is no half membership. So we are already, as I mentioned, associate member of the EU, but full membership means that your, you know, democratic credentials will be, you know, the best in the world. Because if you look at the EU democracies, they are the leading nations. Of course, there are some deficiencies and issues with some of the member states. That's another question. But first, your democratic credentials will be quite good. In economy, you know, you will be more transparent. Your competitiveness will increase. You will become more transparent, and there will be full trust in your economy. This will attract maybe more and more investment because you are an EU economy if you are a member. And again, if you are an EU member country, your citizens will travel freely. You know, I'm not talking about only visa, but of course, accession process might, necessitate some time for some areas. But at the end, if you are a full member, this means that you can also establish your own business in any of the EU member states. Your qualifications will be recognized by everyone. So, I mean, this is, and also you will be in the decision-making mechanism. Today, when the EU decides that EU citizens can only travel to Spain, Greece, and Italy because of the pandemic, and if you are not an EU country, but you might have better situation in terms of COVID pandemic, and Spain and Italy and Greece were actually in a worse situation at that time, but EU decision-making mechanism, said, okay, EU citizens should go to only these 3 countries, not Turkey, although we had better figures. So being in the decision-making mechanism is also important. So this is equal, right? And you can defend your interests much better. So for us, EU membership is not like joining a club. We are, I mean, for example, it's not like joining NATO. NATO is an organization where you contribute, where you have, some rights and responsibilities, but joining the EU is also, for us, it's a question of, making sure that we belong to a continent and we belong to a set of values which are seen as contemporary civilizational level. And this is why, for us, EU membership is not only joining club, but also it is the identity of Turkey. We are not going to discuss anymore whether Turkey is Eastern or Western, whether Turkey belongs to Europe or not. But for us, it's a question of belonging as well. And this is why it is, much more important than, other memberships, if you compare with other candidate countries.
Okay, thank you very much. I have Murat Erdogan and Attila, if you could be then the final one. Murat first.
Sevgili Bakanım, hoş geldiniz. Çok teşekkürler. As always, if I'm hearing you, I'm very happy. It is also not only a personal issue, but it is self-confidence of the country, and it is really very important. And then you are very real, and then you can also make comments with negative and positive things. It is very valuable. About the Turkish-EU relation, and I published an article in 2009, and then I used a word, earned Europeans. I said that maybe we are not natural born European, but we try to be Europeans, and then we reach also a lot issue. I mean, not only the EU, but also Council of Europe is also a part of this whole process. And I would like to also ask you maybe this identity issue. I mean, for us, for the Turks, the relation with Europeans, especially with EU, is also I think an identity question. It's also very important, and then we gave a lot effort for that. But my question is a standard question I ask today all our participants, and then it's also, of course, it is very important for you about this migration deal and then agreement with EU in 2016. Very short question, very concrete. We have 5 years experience now. And what is your perception for that? Did cooperation on refugees bring Turkey-EU relations closer or further away? It is for me a very essential question. We are now writing a report also. It's for me also personal, also very important. But I would like to also hear you and then your idea for that. Thank you very much one more time.
At the beginning, I would say that, this migration deal has brought us closer. By the way, let me again underline that 18 March statement is not only about migration, but this migration issue had brought us, closer. because when we signed the 18, well, we didn't sign, but when we have the 18 March State Agreement, we didn't only talk about migration, but this migration issue and this migration cooperation has enabled us to revitalize Turkey-EU relations. Because if you look at, you know, the end of 2015 and the beginning of March 2016, we had 3 summits, and this migration issue and this migration cooperation at the beginning has brought Turkey and the EU closer. So 18 March statement said accession negotiations should be revitalized. And actually we have opened 3 chapters. Customs Union update should start immediately. Unfortunately, it is still in suspension. High-level dialogue meetings should be more regular. And then counterterrorism cooperation should be intensified. So basically it brought Turkey-EU, you know, together. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, 15 July 2016 coup attempts, you know, I think changed the atmosphere, because in other areas, we could not make any progress in terms of accession, customs union, high-level dialogue meetings. So 18 March statements, you know, only function properly in terms of migration. There, of course, our cooperation was quite good, but I think the turning point was that when EU member states took some decisions, you know, after the 3rd operation that we had in northern Syria, then Turkey said, you know, if the EU doesn't keep its promises in terms of migration deal, and let alone, you know, the other dimensions, 5 other dimensions, why I should, you know, force people to stay in Turkey. If they want to leave, they can leave. So, but of course, now, unfortunately, this policy is seen as an aggression, as a threat, as an instrumentalization of the migration issue. I mean, really, if Turkey had really instrumentalized and politicized the migration issue, I think we would not keep 4.2 million people in Turkey. So, I mean, look at Belarus. You know, unfortunately, some people compare Turkey to Belarus, which is really, I mean, you know, total ingratitude, you know, towards what Turkey has been doing since, you know, 2011. So, but it's a good question. This migration question, for example, created a difficulty, in my view, in terms of free movement of labor. You know, when Turkey's EU accession perspective is criticized, you know, on an argument that when Turkey joins the EU, millions of Turks would go to the other, you know, would go to the EU countries, other EU countries, then we would say, look, you need young population, you need, you know, anyway, the population of the north and west of Europe is decreasing, so you need young people, and you should not be worried about it. But today, 1.2 million Syrians have already, you know, fulfilled these vacancies. So actually, in terms of our future accession perspective, in terms of, you know, free movement of labor, this is an additional problem. So I would say that there is a fragile balance that the migration issue, you know, keeps us together, but at the same time, it's a question mark. It's like the Cyprus issue. You know, some people think that, I mean, myself, Cyprus is an obstacle. Cyprus issue is an obstacle to Turkey's EU membership. But at the same time, the very same Cyprus issue keeps Turkey-EU relations alive. Because in order to have a solution to the Cyprus problem, at least Greeks and Greek Cypriots, they still want to keep Turkey on board so that, you know, we can try to find a solution. So it's a very delicate balance. I think, you know, there are some elements which brought Turkey-EU closer, but there are some elements which put Turkey and the EU at odds. So this is, I think this would be my answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, as final speaker, a question by Attila Erab.
Thanks a lot. Really, thanks for your contribution. It's always inspiring to listen to you, and you are such a good defender of Turkey's full membership. I fully agree with your position and with your statement. I have the urge to ask you a question because we discussed this issue with our students in different sessions. See, when you were analyzing Turkey-EU relationship, you mentioned 5 factors. There is another factor, a 6th factor, which you didn't mention, in my opinion, which is the US factor or the United States factor, which has affected Turkey-EU relationship. The US factor was quite important, as we all know, during the Cold War years. The US factor was important during the customs union relationship. It was important during the Helsinki summit, so it has been always important in the Turkey-EU relationship. When we look at present, especially the Biden administration and its cooperation with the EU on their position vis-a-vis Turkey, how do you elaborate on the US factor? How does it affect Turkey-EU relationship? Is it affecting in a positive way, in a neutral way, in a negative way? Because, when you look at the history of transatlantic relationship, when the US and the US and the EU when they had a positive relationship, usually their relationship with Turkey was also positive. You can see this in the Cold War years. You can see this during the Helsinki or during the 1990s. But today, it seems that there is a positive relationship between the United States and the EU, but it doesn't affect Turkey-EU relationship so positively. So how do you reflect on the role of the US factor at present, really?
Hocam, you are right. I usually put the US in my 5, factors, good neighborly relations. Of course, we are also neighbor in terms of transatlantic geography with the US. Of course, US played, a key role, especially in '99, when Turkey was officially declared the candidate country. And we will all remember at that time, the Belgian foreign minister, Louis Michel, was complaining, and he was saying, I think on the TV or radio, I remember, it's not the US, but the member states of the EU will decide whether Turkey will become a member of the EU or not. So US, had put a lot of pressure on some of the EU member states that Turkey's EU accession perspective should be open. So, but unfortunately, in the last few years, especially the Trump administration, didn't pay that much of attention to transatlantic relations. So even NATO was, undermined. But today, actually, even this morning, I had, the Deputy Undersecretary of the US Foreign Ministry. So hopefully they are back. They defend, a stronger transatlantic relations. And they said that they would also, push for Turkey's EU accession perspective and process. So we will see. But of course, it also depends on Turkey-US relations. We need to improve our bilateral relations so that our NATO ally, our strategic ally, should defend these rights and beneficial cause, for all of us. So I think US, I guess, in the next few years will be on board. But again, we need, I think, for this to advance fast with meaningful results, we need, more political reforms, and we need, much better bilateral relations with the US.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. In general, I have a final question to you to help our students. They are all supposed to write a master thesis starting from summer next year. Now, what would be 3 subjects? Which master thesis would you like to read in around 1.5 years? So what would be a point or a topic which you think could be also of interest for you, both, let's say, with your political science background, but even more perhaps as a leading person in the political arena?
I think I would love to read, some master thesis on, European Green Deal, for example, how this can be realized, and should this be only a EU Green Deal, or in general European Green Deal? Because you cannot have European Green Deal with only EU Green Deal. How, for example, other European countries can be part of this Green Deal. I think this would be one topic. Another topic, can the EU have, I don't know, a functional rather migration policy? So what would be the best migration policy of the EU in the next, 3 decades? Because according to some UN reports, I think in the next 30 years, we are expecting 110 million irregular migrants from Africa, Middle East, and Asia towards us. So how we can cope? And I think my other topic would be the use of veto right within the EU system. The veto right in the EU decision-making mechanism. Is this a good thing, or is this an obstacle to create a geopolitical, geostrategic EU? Whether EU can find another decision-making mechanism, which would allow the EU to take, better decisions in terms of foreign policy, in terms of security, defense, or migration policy. I think this would be the 3 topics that I would like to happily read.
Okay, so let's say students are asked to look at that. And of course, with the students, we discuss the topics and more in detail. But I think that's already very important incentives for us to look at. Let me thank you very much for, let's say, both the set of arguments, but also support for our students and for the Turkish-German University and for the academic networks, because that's important. And the College of Europe is part of the academic network. It's of course not the only one, but it's very important. To be frank, I like that in the background, you have also the European flag, the EU flag. That's very nice to see that besides the Turkish flag, which is typical. We have that always when our chancellor or the French president talks officially, there's always a French and the EU flag in the background. So it's, let's say, part of the identity. And we hope perhaps that next year, at that time, we meet each other then personally again in Ankara if travel restrictions allow. So thank you very much for that. And let's hope to see each other then, perhaps also in May, perhaps at the Turkish-German University, because we plan a conference there. And perhaps then next autumn with the students again of the master degree. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry again for being late, but it's hectic Turkish diplomacy. And I wish you all the best in your exams and in your researches. So if you need anything from the Foreign Ministry or from the Directorate for EU Affairs, don't hesitate to contact us. So all the best to you and my best wishes and regards to my professors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now we have the question, or it's clear for us that we restart in 8 minutes with kids. Is this correct, Chidem?